Nothing physical happened, but something crossed a line. That's the sentence I keep repeating to myself when the room goes quiet and my phone lights up, when I feel that small tightening in my chest that I pretend is nothing. It doesn't feel like a crisis. It feels like standing in a doorway too long, knowing you're blocking something but not moving. Lately, I don't feel like a bad person. I feel confused. I feel like I'm constantly adjusting my own story, just enough to stay comfortable inside it. I wake up and go through the motions, and somewhere in the middle of that, there's this awareness that I'm carrying something unfinished. I don't know if it's guilt or caution or just fear of naming things too clearly. I tell myself I'm being careful. I tell myself I'm protecting what matters. But I also know I'm tired of having to tell myself anything at all. I met my partner through friends. There was nothing dramatic about it. We kept ending up at the same gatherings, sitting on the same couches, laughing at the same small things. At some point, it just became normal that we'd leave together. There's one memory that always comes back to me. Standing in a kitchen late at night, dishes half done, the house quiet except for us talking about nothing important. It felt easy. It felt like something I didn't have to think my way through. That ease turned into routine. And the routine turned into trust without effort. We rarely argued. We knew each other's schedules, each other's moods. We didn't need constant reassurance because it was already built into how we lived. There was comfort in that. Not excitement exactly, but steadiness. I didn't feel like I was performing or proving anything. I felt known in a way that was calm, not intense. Safe, maybe. Grounded. I can't point to a moment where that changed. That's part of what makes this so hard to explain, even to myself. There wasn't a fight or a distance that announced itself. It was quieter than that. Somewhere along the way, I noticed that someone else understood me faster. Not better, just faster. Conversations felt lighter. Less filtered. I didn't have to explain the context before saying the thing. At first it felt like relief, not danger. I told myself that was allowed. People talk. People connect. I told myself it didn't take anything away from my relationship because nothing was being added anywhere else. It was just conversation. Just words. And I didn't hide it, not at first. It didn't feel like something that needed hiding. Then I started noticing how often those conversations happened. How my mood lifted when I saw a message come in. How I'd hold my phone a little closer to my chest without realizing it. When my partner asked what I was smiling at, I answered, but vaguely. I didn't think of it as lying. I thought of it as simplifying. There were things I shared that I didn't bring home. Not because I couldn't, but because I didn't want to dull them by explaining. There's a difference between not wanting to repeat yourself and not wanting to be seen. I didn't know which one I was doing. I only knew that some parts of my day felt easier to give away somewhere else. Guilt didn't arrive all at once. It settled in like background noise. Something you notice only when everything else goes quiet. I'd feel it while doing ordinary things, grocery shopping, folding laundry, sitting next to my partner on the couch while we watched something we'd already seen before. These were moments that should have brought us closer. Instead, I felt slightly elsewhere, like my attention had a second address. There was a conversation I kept postponing. Not a big one. Just a check-in. Hey, I've been feeling off lately. I told myself I'd wait until I could explain it cleanly. Until I understood it better. Each time I delayed, it felt responsible. Like I was sparing us confusion. But I was also silencing myself, choosing quiet over honesty because honesty felt heavier than I expected. I justified everything as harmless. Nothing physical happened. I repeated that like a shield. I defended the situation even as it started to feel like it was defending itself against me. I didn't cross any obvious lines, but I stopped looking too closely at where the lines were. I told myself that intention mattered more than impact, and that my intention was never to hurt anyone. The turning point didn't come with confrontation or discovery. It came with a realization I didn't want. I noticed that when something meaningful happened, a good day, a hard thought, a moment I wanted to share, my first instinct wasn't home anymore. It was elsewhere. Quietly. Automatically. That's when the illusion broke. Not dramatically. Just enough to let the truth in. I started asking myself questions I didn't have answers for. Was I already betraying something just by being honest with someone else? Or was I betraying it by not being honest at home? I worried that admitting any of this would sound worse than it was, that naming it would give it weight it didn't deserve. Or maybe weight it already had and I'd just been ignoring. I'm torn between staying silent and speaking up. Silence feels like protection, like choosing stability over chaos. But it also feels like cowardice some days, like I'm preserving the shape of something while letting the substance quietly thin out. I'm afraid of being unfair. Afraid of hurting someone who hasn't done anything wrong. Afraid of starting over when nothing is technically broken. There's a contradiction I can't escape. I defend the situation by saying it means nothing, yet I feel erased by how much space it takes up in my head. I tell myself I'm loyal while questioning why loyalty suddenly feels like something I have to define. Sometimes I wonder if I waited too long to name the problem, or if naming it earlier would have made it real before it needed to be. By the time it felt routine, I didn't know where the line was anymore, or if it had moved because I let it. I don't know if honesty would destroy everything, or if silence already is. I only know that understanding didn't arrive all at once. It came slowly in moments I tried to ignore, in pauses I filled too quickly. I'm sharing this because I don't have a conclusion. I'm still standing in that doorway, unsure if not stepping forward is an act of care or fear. People disagree on what counts as betrayal. I get that now. I'm not asking to be told what to do. I'm just trying to understand what this was, and what it might already be. So I want to know, where do you think the line really is?